Hey folks, welcome to CSC 281 Advanced Programming. This little lecture snippet is going to teach you how to access the virtual machine, the Linux virtual machine in the cloud from a Windows machine. Now, I have to say, I mean, you may have noticed in class, I'm very biased against Windows. I used Windows for many years, but I now feel like it's just a really clunky, hard to use system, and it's much easier to use systems like Linux or OS 10. Linux, if you can't, don't want to shell out the bucks for an OS 10 machine, or OS 10 if you willing to shell out the bucks for it. But the software on the Windows machine is just a lot clunkier, and you'll see that compared to the software that I was using in the Introduction to Cloud Services. So in order to get all this stuff to work for Windows, we're going to have to do basically the same thing we did on the OS 10 machine. We're going to need to connect to the virtual machine via SSH, and then after we've connected, we're going to start the VNC server, and then we're going to run a VNC client on the Windows machine. Now it's a little trickier because the machine that we're using up in the cloud is a Linux machine, which is more compatible with OS 10. The machine that we're using in this demonstration is a Windows machine, which just is not as compatible with Linux. So but there are a bunch of tools that can all make it happen. There's just some configuration work that you have to do to get it all to work. All right, so here goes. The first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to download a program called Putty, P-U-T-T-Y. Just Google that, and you'll see a link that says download Putty, a free SSH and Telnet client for Windows. So we're going to go there, and we're going to click download Putty. You can download Putty here, so we're going to download it. And scroll down here, and there's a lot of different flavors of Putty. There's a lot of really cool things that Putty can do. But the thing that we're really interested in is this putty.exe file. So we're going to click on that to download it. And we're going to run it. Okay. So it's already in the download section of, it's in your download directory. Now, what we need to do is we need to set up a whole bunch of different things in order to get Putty to work properly with VNC. And so what we're going to do is we are going to first, right here, you can see provide the host name or IP address. Well, I'm going to assume that you have logged in to Amazon Web Services on the web with your user ID, and you've found the virtual machine that you are responsible for, that you own and control. So you can see there's a whole list of them here, but one of them is running, which is Matt Brooks, because I'm going to pretend I'm Matt. Now, if you scroll over to the right-hand side, you'll see the public IP. This is the IP address that you can use to connect to the virtual machine. So I'm going to make a copy of that, Control C, and then come over here and do a Control V. All right, super. Now, not done yet. There's a couple other things I'm going to have to do. One thing I'm going to have to do is click on this SSH link right here, and I'm going to expand it and say that click on the auth link, and I've got to let, just like in the OS 10 side there was this authorization key, a .pem file. Well, it turns out that for Putty to work, Putty needs a .ppk file. So in the email I sent you that contains a lot of these instructions plus links to this video, there is a .ppk stonehillcs.ppk file that you can use and download from your email, and then you can link to it. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to say, hey, I do actually have a PPK file that I want you to use when you connect to this machine. There it is. Open. All right. We're not done yet. We're still not done. The next thing we want to do here is click on X11 and say that we want to enable X11 forwarding. And then the next thing we want to do here is we want to say we're going to use a source port of 5900 and a destination of Control V 5901. So this is basically saying what we'd like to do is we'd like to tunnel, we'd like to, from this workstation, create a secure encrypted tunnel that uses the VNC protocol to talk to our virtual machine that's running in the cloud. So that way, all the graphics information that's being sent back and forth between this machine and the machine up in the cloud will be encrypted, so no one can look at it, which is really cool. Now, if you're using the OS X stuff, you don't have to do any of this configuration. It all just happens automatically when you do SSH. You get automatic tunneling for VNC. Okay, we're basically ready to go here. So what we need to do next is go over to session, and actually we need to, let's save this session. I'm going to call this Amazon 2 because I've already tested this out to make sure it works. So click save, and then we'll click open. And what will happen here is it's going to say log on as, Putty says log on as. We're going to say, this is actually the virtual machine talking to us. We're going to say we want to log on as Ubuntu. U-B-U-N-T-U. Okay, press enter. And boom, we're on the machine. Awesome. So this is very much like the terminal shell that we saw when we were over on the OS X side. Now, what we need to do is, I'm going to just do a quick command here to see if VNC is running. Oops, I got to do a grep there. Yeah, it looks like it is running. So what I'm going to do is kill 2013. Oh, okay. I'm going to do a kill 3613. Basically, I'm just killing old VNC processes that are running because I want to do this from scratch. You don't have to do this. You won't have to do this on your machine. Okay, perfect. So now, normally you wouldn't have to worry about any of that stuff. If you're coming into a fresh machine that you just started, all you're going to do is type VNC server, and you can specify the geometry stuff from the OS X, or you can just leave it as leave VNC to choose a default. Let's see. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say VNC server minus geometry 1024 by 768. So that's kind of a small geometry. All right, we'll run that. Okay, and now what we're ready to do is we're ready to use VNC on the client, on the Windows machine, to get access to the VNC server. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over here and type real VNC and press enter and click on the download link. And we're interested in VNC viewer for Windows. And I've got a 64-bit machine, so I'm going to download that. What's my name? Bulb. My email, dugan@stonehill.edu. Submit. I agree. Download. All right. This is really exciting watching it download. It goes pretty fast, though. Okay. Now we're going to run it. And I'm going to agree, click OK, and see. The VNC server, now this is the interesting part. We're going to say for the VNC server that it's local host. All right, so if everything worked correctly, continue. Now it's prompting me for a password. So the password, if you recall, is CSRocks, no 55, because we're limited in the size of the password. Click OK, and ta-da! Here is VNC server running. Awesome. Drag this and move it around. And if I want, I can click on Eclipse and I can get started. So everything else that applied in the introduction is, applies here. The thing you have to be careful with, which is really annoying about using this approach, is every time you stop and restart your server, your cloud server, you're going to have to go over to PuTTY, and you're going to have to redo. I'm going to just show you this. You're going to have to, I just basically right-clicked on the bar there. Click Change Settings. You're going to have to alter the login. You're going to have to alter the IP address in two places. So the first place you're going to alter the IP address is in the name of the machine you're connecting to, and then you're going to have to alter the IP address in the location of the tunnel that we added. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay, I'm going to quit this. Well, actually, no, we'll just run PuTTY again. Oh, sorry, I'm going to look up PuTTY over here. You can't see it, but I guess you can see part of it. So here I am running PuTTY again. Run. Okay, so this is one place that you're going to have to put the new IP address right here. And then the other place you're going to put the IP address is under tunnels. You're going to have to re-specify the destination and source port. Even if you, let me go back up here. Even if you load a session, like let's say I load this session here, see how it says 54? That's a nice way to restore everything, all the settings for PuTTY. But that IP address is going to have, this IP address is going to have to change here, and then in SSH, where I listed the tunnels, that tunnel, you're going to have to remove it and add a new tunnel because we've got a different IP address that the virtual machine is running on. So I hope all that's clear. I'm going to send out an email now with this information, well, some information plus the video links, and you should be able to get started messing around with the virtual machine. And I certainly have an expectation that you'd be able to build a website now, deploy it, and send me an IP address where the website is located, and I should be able to work with it. Okay.